All right, so today we're going to deep dive into some incredible Indian cinema.
Hmm.
Some of the hottest Bollywood and Marathi films that were released in the last year.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and we're going to be focusing on two main sources for this deep dive. We have MovieKaTicket.com, which is a website that has a ton of movie reviews,
Right.
and then a deeper dive into one particular Marathi film.
Cool.
So yeah, MovieKaTicket.com. It's a great website for like any movie buff out there because it covers a wide range of films from Hollywood, Bollywood to regional Indian cinema.
Yeah, it really is a good one-stop shop to kind of get a feel for what's popular and buzzy.
Right, and they have different sections. So one of them is their featured posts section, which is kind of a gold mine for what's hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ones that they highlight is this movie called Pushpa 2, The Rule,
Okay.
which is a Telugu action drama.
Uh-huh.
It just came out in December.
Oh, wow.
And they call it magnificent and say it redefines Telugu cinema. The thing that jumped out at me was how they highlighted the director Sukumar and star Allu Arjun.
Yeah.
That seems like, they're really the forces behind this, potential shift in Telugu cinema.
That's interesting because Telugu cinema is known for its, kind of over-the-top action dramatic plots, but often flies under the radar outside of India.
Right?
So maybe this is pushing those boundaries a little bit in a way that's catching wider attention.
Yeah, and then they highlight another film called Sing 'Em Again,
Okay.
which is another action film, but this one's Bollywood,
Uh-huh.
and it's directed by Rohit Shetty, who is the guy behind, some of the biggest Bollywood blockbusters.
Oh, yeah.
And they call this one electrifying.
I bet given Shetty's known for, those really wild stunts and explosions and stuff,
Yeah.
it seems like he's delivering exactly what audiences expect from him.
Totally. And it was actually released on the same day as Bhool Bhulaiya 3,
Oh,
which
is a horror comedy, right?
yeah, a horror comedy.
A continuation of a popular franchise by the
Yeah.
looks of it.
Yeah.
The review highlights its twisted tale and a dash of nostalgia, so that kind of suggests it's playing on elements that fans loved from previous films.
Right.
So that's a smart move to kind of draw in a big audience.
Right, totally. And speaking of horror comedy,
Yeah.
there's also Stree 2, which came out in August, and it stars Rajkumar Rao and Shraddha Kapoor.
Oh, cool.
And I'm wondering, is part of the appeal of these horror comedies the blend of genre?
Yeah.
Like you get the thrills and chills, but also some laughs to lighten the mood.
You're probably right. It could be a way to make horror more accessible to a wider audience,
Right.
or simply just offer a different kind of cinematic experience.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that both of those came out kind of close together.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a growing demand for this.
Yeah. And then there's Kalki 2898 AD.
Okay.
And this one is set in a post-apocalyptic future, but also blends myth and sci-fi.
Wow, that sounds totally unique.
It does. And the review calls it groundbreaking and
Yeah.
mentions its unique setting. So that's kind of a clue as to how they're achieving this blend.
I wonder if it's like futuristic technology juxtaposed with ancient myths and symbols.
Right.
It's a visual language we haven't really seen before.
Right. It makes me think of how Brahmastra, Part 1 Shiva,
Yeah.
which they reviewed back in early 2023, was described as a blend of action and mythology.
Oh, yeah. That seems to be a recurring theme, this weaving of traditional elements with modern genres.
Totally.
It speaks to, I think, a desire to kind of reimagine those familiar stories and themes for contemporary audiences.
Right.
Kind of a clever way to create something fresh while still drawing on their cultural heritage.
Right. And then there's a comedy called Bad News
Okay.
that tackles parenthood with a unique twist.
Uh-huh.
So it's like a comedic roller coaster.
It sounds like it could be exploring the challenges and joys of parenthood in a lighthearted, relatable way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last one that they highlight in their featured posts is Chandu Champion,
Okay.
which is a biopic about this guy Murlikant Petkar, who is a real-life champion. And it stars Kartik Aaryan, and the review calls it inspirational.
That makes sense. Yeah, biopics seem to be having a moment right now.
Yeah.
It seems like audiences are really drawn to these true stories of, resilience and determination and achievement.
Right.
It's almost like a modern form of mythology. We look to these real-life heroes for inspiration and guidance.
Totally. And with someone like Kartik Aaryan playing the lead role,
Yeah.
who has, a huge fan base,
Yeah,
this film probably attracted a lot of attention.
for sure.
And then they have a whole section called Most Popular.
Uh-huh.
And one of the films that they highlight there is called Munjia,
Okay.
which is described as this mischievous blend of comedy and horror, which again seems to be a popular mix.
It's fascinating how those genre combinations are finding their footing.
Yeah,
Blending comedy and horror is a delicate balance, but when it works, it can be incredibly effective.
totally. And then there's this Bollywood action film
Okay.
that they reviewed back in August of 2024, and they call it a game changer. So I'm dying to know more about what makes it so revolutionary.
Sounds intriguing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know what really caught my eye
What's that?
was this Marathi film called Nach Ga Ghuma,
Oh, yeah.
which came out in May of last
Oh,
year.
yeah, that one was a huge success, wasn't it?
Huge. It became the highest grossing Marathi film of the year.
Wow.
And it's just one example of how regional cinema is really gaining traction.
It is, there's this growing recognition of the diverse stories and talent that exist beyond Bollywood.
Right.
You know, audiences are really hungry for those authentic narratives that reflect their own experiences and cultures.
Totally. And from what I've read, Nach Ga Ghuma seems to hit on some of those universal themes.
Yeah.
You know, like relationships, family dynamics, and, finding your place in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The review describes it as a spirited love-hate dynamic
Okay.
between a woman named Rani and her housekeeper, Asha.
Oh, cool.
So I'm picturing, this funny, heartwarming story about two women from different backgrounds finding common ground.
Yeah, that's a great point. Sometimes the most compelling stories are the ones that focus on the everyday lives of ordinary people.
Totally.
And it seems like this one tapped into that. I'm curious to hear more about, what you found in the deeper dive on this film.
Yeah, so the review really emphasizes the performances, especially by Mukta Barve and Namrata Sambherao, who play Rani and Asha.
Okay.
They apparently have this incredible chemistry on screen, and their comedic timing is spot on.
It sounds like they really brought those characters to life. Strong performances are crucial in a film like this,
Right.
where so much relies on the dynamic between those two leads.
Right.
It's not just about the jokes, it's about creating those believable, relatable characters that the audience can connect with.
Right. And the review also praises the writing for finding that sweet spot between, humor and a respectful portrayal of women.
Right.
So it sounds like Nach Ga Ghuma manages to be funny
Yeah.
without resorting to stereotypes or making its female characters the butt of the joke.
I think audiences are more discerning these days when it comes to representation on screen.
Right.
There's a greater awareness of how women have been stereotyped in the past, particularly in comedy.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely demand for more nuanced, authentic portrayals.
For sure. So we've talked about a bunch of films,
We have.
from action-packed blockbusters to this heartwarming Marathi comedy.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to see the range of stories being told in Indian cinema right now.
It is, and it's not just about the stories themselves, but also about the way they're being told.
Right.
We're seeing a lot of experimentation with genre, visual style, and storytelling techniques.
Totally. I'm thinking of Kalki 2898 AD again, with its blend of sci-fi and mythology.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if Indian filmmakers are drawing inspiration from other film industries, like Hollywood, while still putting their own unique spin on things.
It's definitely possible the global film landscape is more interconnected than ever before,
Right.
with ideas and influences flowing back and forth. But I think what sets Indian cinema apart is its ability to ground those influences in its own cultural context.
Yeah.
Drawing on its rich history, mythology, and social realities.
Right. That kind of brings us back to Nach Ga Ghuma
Yeah.
and the success of regional cinema.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like audiences are responding to stories that feel both familiar and fresh.
Right.
They want to see their own lives and cultures reflected on screen, but they also want to be entertained and surprised.
Exactly. There's a growing appetite for, authenticity and representation.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean sacrificing entertainment value.
Right.
Films like Nach Ga Ghuma are proving that you can have both.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener?
Right.
You came into this deep dive wanting to explore the world of Indian cinema, and I think we've uncovered some pretty interesting trends.
We have. We've seen how Indian filmmakers are pushing boundaries, blending genres and telling stories that resonate with audiences on a global scale. And we've also seen how regional cinema is gaining recognition for its unique perspectives and authentic narratives.
It's almost like Indian cinema is at this exciting crossroads
Yeah.
with so much potential for growth and innovation.
For sure.
So as you consider all these films, from big budget spectacles to character-driven comedies,
Yeah.
what stands out to you?
Right.
What genre or theme within Indian cinema are you now most curious to explore further?
It's like we've laid out a buffet of cinematic flavors,
Oh,
Are you craving the visual feast and mind-bending concepts of a sci-fi epic like Kalki 2898 AD?
Right.
Or perhaps the heart and humor of a film like Nach Ga Ghuma, which explores those relatable relationships in everyday life?
Maybe you're drawn to the high-octane action of a Rohit Shetty film.
Right.
Or perhaps those horror comedies with their unique blend of thrills and chills have piqued your interest.
Yeah, there's really something for everyone.
There is, and the best part is that these films are readily available.
They are.
MovieKaTicket.com is a great place to start your exploration.
Absolutely. And, a lot of streaming platforms also have dedicated sections for Indian films,
Right.
making it easier than ever to kind of access this whole world of stories. You can even filter by language genre or release date.
So take this as a cue to kind of step outside your comfort zone and let this deep dive be your springboard into the vibrant and ever-evolving world of Indian cinema.
Allow yourself to be surprised, entertained, and perhaps even challenged by the stories you discover.
You might just find your next favorite film,
Yeah.
or even a whole new genre to love. So as you consider all these films, from big-budget spectacles to character-driven comedies, what stands out to you?
Yeah.
What genre or theme within Indian cinema are you now most curious to explore further?
It's like we've laid out a buffet of cinematic flavors.
Yeah.
Are you craving the visual feast and mind-bending concepts of a sci-fi epic like Kalki 2898 AD?
Right.
Or perhaps the heart and humor of a film like Nach Ga Ghuma, which explores those relatable relationships in everyday life?
Maybe you're drawn to the high-octane action of a Rohit Shetty film. Or perhaps those horror comedies with their unique blend of thrills and chills have piqued your interest.
Yeah, there's really something for everyone.
There is. And the best part is that these films are readily available.
They are.
MovieKaTicket.com is a great place to start your exploration.
Absolutely. And a lot of streaming platforms also have dedicated sections for Indian films.
Right.
Making it easier than ever to kind of access this whole world of stories. You can even filter by language genre or release date.
So take this as a cue to kind of step outside your comfort zone and let this deep dive be your springboard into the vibrant and ever-evolving world of Indian cinema.
Allow yourself to be surprised, entertained, and perhaps even challenged by the stories you discover. You might just find your next favorite film or even a whole new genre to love.
Well, that's it for this deep dive into the world of Indian cinema.
Yeah.
And we hope you enjoyed exploring all those awesome films.
Definitely until next time.
Thanks for listening.